be in the special services category, Bill Martz. His testimony will be Toby Gillen.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Toby Gillum, and I'm here to introduce the next member being inducted in the Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame, Bill Martz. Bill is going into the Hall of Fame under the Special Services category, where he has been a park owner since 2005, after purchasing Kenton Lake Sportsplex. Over the years, the park has seen increased attendance in both leagues and tournaments, and is the home to the WSL Kentucky State Tournament every year. I've been fortunate enough to work with Bill as an umpire, a UIC, and a tournament director. A great friendship developed over the years between Bill and I. About 2.5 years ago, Bill asked me if I would run the WSL Kentucky State Tournament for him because he had to work his real job that weekend and was only going to be available in a limited capacity. You see, most people do not know that Bill has worked at the same location in Cincinnati for 34 years, currently as an assistant site manager, and that on top of being the owner and operator of Kenton Lakes. So when he asked me to run the state tournament for him, I simply said, of course I will. From his improvements over the years with the ballpark, to his friendliness and commitment to the people he surrounds himself with, Bill is truly one of a kind. Bill contacted me last week and asked me if I would introduce him today. Without hesitation, I said, of course I will. Please welcome the newest member to the Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame, and my best friend, Bill Martz.
Like Andrea said, I'm going to try to get through this without breaking down. So, I will probably read most of this. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd first like to congratulate my fellow inductees. I'd also like to congratulate the upcoming 2025 inductees, which will be announced later. But I come here today, a very humble person. I'll make it yet. This award that this institution has honored me with today was not something I planned to pursue. I first want to thank the person who suggested me for induction. When I asked, I was told to just thank the committee in its entirety. So I thank all the members of the Greater Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame Committee. Next, I would like to thank my entire family. My wife, Marcy, both my daughters, Ashley and Katie. This speech may take a lot longer than it goes. I'll get through this, trust me. Both my daughters, Ashley and Katie, along with their, I come prepared. Now if I can get started again. Their husbands, their children, of course, 2 of them are sitting over there, Peyton and Jackson, and most of you know Peyton. She works the concession stand all the time when she's not playing softball. My son, Will, and on Thanksgiving weekend, as I just mentioned, most of you have seen him at the park when playing. I have more family to mention. My brothers, Pat and Rich, and my late parents, who helped me in my early years. Let's see. I purchased Kenton Lakes in December of 2004. At the time, I was really looking for property to invest in that would help pay for itself with a little sweat equity on my part. It turned out to be nearly a full-time job for myself and my wife. But when asked if I would do it again, if I had a choice, my answer is I would, but I just do a few things different. I want to thank all the players, the teams and coaches that have participated in the events at the park over the last 19 years. Two men, Bill Chard and Toby Gillen, were both instrumental in the growth of the park over the last 12 years. Bill for first asking me to host the Bash for Cash way back when, and Toby, who used the park as a base for the WSL event when he was the WSL state director. I thank you both. I've received a lot of help and advice from umpires over the years, names that come to mind, and the guys I wish to thank: Terry Peters, again Toby Gillen, Roger Foster, J.D. Williams, Ken Gels, the late Rick Hyde, Josh Vaughn, Gary Henderson, Terry Evans, Andy Williams, Chris Bollicker. From the early years, I have a few names: Greg Butler, Billy Dennis, Dougie and Dallas Martin. I can name another half dozen, but want to thank all the guys mentioned for your help over the years. I would not be up here without you. I thank you. So, of course, I think I got a few minutes still. Not that there's supposed to be a time limit, right, guys? I'm going to relate a story that some of you have already heard. And some of you know my wife is one of those who's very particular about our inventory and counting cups and all that other stuff. Her cousin, Kevin Larson, nicknamed her the Cup Nazi. So way back when, my wife comes in and says, "Hey, there's a guy out there that's got a glass beer bottle and I want him thrown out of the park." Bill Chard was there and he looks up and says, "I got to see this." He says, "That's Rusty Bumgarner." So you can imagine I've got to walk out there and I'm thinking, how am I gonna do this? So slowly walk out there and Bill introduces me to Rusty. And I said, "Rusty, I've got a problem." And he says, "Oh yeah, what's that?" And I said, "I'm married." And he says, "Sorry to hear that." I said, "Well, my wife noticed you with that glass beer bottle, and she said, I'm going to throw you out of this park." And I said, "I'd hate to be the person known as the person who threw Rusty Bumgarner out of the park." So, of course, this gets better. Anyway, I said, "I'll make you a deal. I will buy you and your partner, who happened to be Todd Sledge." Remember that, Todd? Yes, I do. And I said, "I'll buy you both beer, whatever flavor you want. Just get rid of those bottles." So Rusty, he takes that bottle and dumps it. He reaches in his pocket and pulls out another one. He opens it, he downs it, and he tosses it about 10 feet right in the garbage can. Looks at Todd and says, "What the hell are you waiting on?" So I went back to the concession stand, took that money out of my pocket so my wife wouldn't bitch about missing 2 beer cups. I paid for those beers. Probably the best $10.50 I ever spent. So anyways, in closing, I want to thank everyone for attending and look forward to returning and supporting this event next year.
See that plaque?
Before we introduce this next Hall of Fame inductee, and Bill brought it up, I just want to introduce the Hall of Fame committee members to the people here today. Dave Maury and I are co-chairmen. Ezra Girock. Of course. On my credit card, I'm sure. Andy Larkins. Michelle Fletcher. And let's add Johnson to that. Bobby Owens. And Robert Cowboy Schlemmer. That's the Hall of Fame committee members for 2024. This next inductee in the male non-contemporary category, Frank Gruber. And he will be presented by Hall of Famer Andy Larkins.
Thank you, Bernie. I printed it on big font, so I think I can not use the glasses. Anybody here see the movie Roadhouse? You can tell if you grew up in the 80s because no matter who you talk to from that era, every great story has a good movie reference in it, and this is a good story. Jim Jackson's certainly not the double deuce. Pretty sure there is not a sign in the men's room that says don't eat the big white mint. Although I'm worried about table 7. Big white mint is the Sam Elliott line, but that's not what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for pain don't hurt. This next inductee is our Dalton from Roadhouse. He's been knocked down many times. Once, if you can believe it, by a car, and he got back up. Some of us wondered how many lives this guy had. Got one left. Pain don't hurt, right? On the field, Frank brought a rare athleticism to the pitching position that is now the expectation in the game. He was a wall. He could also deal, though. In what I call the U-trip flat pitch era, he was dominant, finding the bottom of the zone, and like a baseball's Greg Maddux, somehow extending it until we were practically hitting fast pitch. And then just when you were comfortable, he'd change your eyes, throw the ball up, found the top. I hated hitting against him. But I love coaching Frank. As a coach, you look for guys, that are impact players. Impact is why we're here today, right? Frank's impact on the teams he pitched for, this competitive influence, this pain, don't hurt, this I'm still here impact is what helped drive Frank's teams to the highest levels of our sport. A U-Trip 2011 B World Championship, a 2009 B World runner-up, both with Blitz Watanabe, multiple U-Trip state championships, and 9 Metro championships, including a B, 2 A's, 6 Opens, with teams like Blitz, Watanabe, Premier Services, and yes, Cincy Softball. Along the way, Frank earned all tournament nominations, MVP awards, ODPs, and he was named the Cincinnati Softball News Pitcher of the Decade for 2000 to 2009. It is without question he's earned this induction to the Hall of Fame. And without much further ado, it's my honor and privilege to say to my friend and former teammate, Frank, welcome to the Cincinnati Softball Hall of Fame.
And if I was on a pitcher's mound, I wouldn't know a person was in this room right now. There we go. Thank you to the committee for selecting me. I want to say thanks to all the coaches and sponsors and all my former teammates over the years. I still have no idea whatever made me want to start pitching. I figured out if you're crazy enough to do it, you can throw strikes, pitch to defense. I love having missiles hit at you. It can get you on some good teams with players that are much, much better than me. So, thank you.